Hi everyone, myself Kirtika, working as Assistant Professor at Department of Management Studies of K.S.Rangasamy College of Technology, Tiruchendur. In this video, we are going to discuss about process of training and training need assessment, which is meant as TNA. At first, let us discuss about the process of training. In this training process, we have 5 steps. First is need assessment. At first, we have to find whether there is a need for providing training. Next is setting objectives. For any kind of process, we have to set an objective and we have to work for achieving that objectives. Next is designing stage, and next is implementing stage, and next is evaluation stage. We shall see all the steps in detail. First is need assessment. The first step in the training process is to assess the need for training which is to be provided for the employees. The need for training could be identified through diagnosis of present and future challenges and through a gap between employees' actual performance and the standard performance. This need assessment can be studied from two perspectives. One is from individual or from group. Next, the second step is setting objectives. Once the needs are identified, the objective for which the training is to be given have to be established. The objectives could be based on the gaps seen in training programs conducted earlier and the skill sets developed by the employee. Next, the third step is designing, which means designing the training program. So, in this step, every training program encompasses certain issues such as who are the trainees, who are the trainers, what method will be used for training, and what will the level of training. So, all these things, action plan have to be designed for providing this training process. And the next stage is implementation. Once the designing of training program is completed, the next step is to put into the action. The foremost decision that needs to be made is where the training will be conducted, either in-house or outside that organization. Once it is decided, it is time for giving training. The next and final step is evaluation of training program. After training is done, the employees will need to give the feedback on the training session, whether they felt useful or not. Through the feedback, an organization can determine the weak spots, if any, and can rectify it in the next session. The evaluation of training program is must because companies invest huge amounts in the sessions and must know its effectiveness in terms of money. Next, we shall discuss about the topic called as training need assessment. What is actually training need assessment needs? Need assessment is a process to identify the gap between current performance and the actual performance. Okay, so this training need assessment is a method of determining if a training need exists and if it does, what training is required to fulfill the gap. Then this TNA seeks to identify accurately the levels of present situation in the target surveys, interviews, observation, and secondary data or workshop. Then the gap between the present status and desired status may be indicate the problems that in turn can be translated into training need. So, in short, we can say that training need is equal to desired capability minus current capability of the employee. Next topic we are going to see is about source of training need identification. So, by through which means we can identify that is a training need. First is need assessment questionnaire. So, a questionnaire will be circulated to the employees and based on that we will be finding whether there is a need for training or not. Next is employee interviews. Based on face-to-face interview or one-on-one interview with the employee, we can know whether there is a need for training or not. Next is employee opinion or climate surveys. We will be asking opinion with the employee whether he is okay with the job. If not, what is the problem he is facing. Okay, based on this also we can design a training program. Next is exit interviews. These interviews are collected from the person who exit from the organization. So based on their opinions they give, we can also frame the training need. Next is employee grievances or complaints. Whenever there is a problem between the employees or whenever an employee raises a complaint, we can provide them training and we can help them to come out of the complaints and also with grievances. At next, we shall discuss about criteria for identifying training needs. First thing is we have to set a clear expectation. To identify training needs, you first need to set a clear expectation for each role within your business. Next is monitoring performance. Measuring and monitoring performance should be embraced as a means to support employees and not to reprimand them. Set clear goals and respond to performance blips on individual basis. The next thing is ask employees. You have to ask with employees whether they need or they expect any kind of training program from your side or not. Okay, from this also you can identify a need for training. Next is carry out organizational work or task analysis. You can analyze how an employee performs the task, how he performs the work, and what kind of organizational climate we have. Whether any changes in organization is brought, we have to give training. Okay, so we have to do all this kind of analysis. Next is set up personal development plans. For every individual, you have to set up a personal development plan. Okay, according to that plan, in order to achieve that, you can provide a training. Next is set up a system of monitoring and coaching. So by this, you can closely align staff member with a mentor, which helps in developing skills, and in the process you can identify any additional training or development needs. Okay, next is about steps in training need assessment. The first thing is to identify the problem and needs from target groups. First of all, we have to know what are the problems of employee. Only when we know about the problem, we have to analyze the reason, and based on that only we can provide training. Okay, so we have to identify the problem and needs from the target groups. Next is collect data. So we have to collect data from them. So what are their expectations, what are their problems, and what are the reasons, like that you have to collect the data. Then you have to analyze the data. So this analysis is usually based on three kinds. Okay, organization analysis, task analysis, and individual analysis. Based on the data analyzed, you have to design a training program. Whether they need an communication training, or whether they need an technological updation training. So everything can be designed from this data analysis process. Then the next thing is analyzing data. As we said earlier, there are three kinds of analysis. First is organization analysis, task analysis, and individual analysis. So this analysis can be conducted at three stages: at level of organization, at level of individual, at the level of job. Each of which is called as organizational, individual, and job analysis. First is organization analysis. This organization analysis is aimed at shortlisting the focus areas of training within the organization and the factors that may affect the organizational mission, vision, goals, people inventories, process, performance data, all are studied. The study gives clues about the kind of learning environment required for the training. Next is task analysis. This task analysis is the examination of each step involved in completing a task or job. So in this, how an employee performs his task, how an employee performs his job and his role will be examined, and based on this task analysis, training program will be designed. The individual analysis is concerned with who in the organization needs a training particular area. Here performance is taken out from the performance appraisal data, and the same is compared with the expected level or standard of performance. This individual analysis is also conducted through questionnaires or 360 feedback, and also through personal interviews. Thank you for watching this video.